The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Look, welcome back to the Neural Left, where we refuse to let the darkness win without a hell of a fight. Because it's Saturday, April 4th, 2026, and the silver lining is I still have the best seat in the house to watch the Empire struggle. I'm Julian Archer, broadcasting from the Panopticon, and I'm telling you the energy is high today because, well, the resistance is finally finding its teeth. It is absurd that we have to fight this hard, but fight we will.
High key, Julian is already at a 10, and I haven't even finished my first latte. But no, literally. I'm Maya Thorne, and I'm coming to you from deep within the discourse, where the vibes are, let's just say, fragile.
Right?
My screen time hit 14 hours yesterday, Julian, and most of it was just watching the fallout from the Pentagon purge we talked about yesterday. I mean, yesterday was Bondi getting tossed for Todd Blanche. It was the Epstein files being redacted into oblivion. It was a rough day for anyone who likes, justice.
Oh, justice is a vintage concept these days, isn't it? But today, look, we've got some interesting, crucial developments to unpack. It's a busy show, but it's a necessary one. We have a solid lineup that covers everything from the hollowing out of the middle class to a fraud czar who sounds like he belongs in a comic book.
No, literally, it's giving dystopia. But we have to start with the actual human cost of the one big, beautiful bill. I mean, this is the economic precarity era, Julian. While the administration is bragging about record high tax refunds that are mostly going to people who already own 3 Pelotons, we have a literal hero being left in the cold.
You're talking about Sammy Steegman. It is heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking is an understatement. According to the Fulcrum and National Today, this man is 86 years old. He's a Holocaust survivor who endured Nazi medical experimentation as a toddler, Julian. And right now, in 2026, in New York City, he is facing an imminent housing crisis.
Right.
His Harlem apartment is no longer safe or functional for him, and the rising costs have totally outpaced his fixed income from Social Security and reparations. And the most cringe part, the actual failure of the state, is that he had a critical meeting with city housing officials to secure a place, and the administration just missed it. They ghosted a Holocaust survivor, Julian.
Oh, of course they did. Because if you're not a donor or defense contractor, you don't exist in their one big, beautiful bill universe. My thing is, how do we claim to be a moral nation, a city on a hill, when a man who survived the 1940s has to worry about a roof over his head because of bureaucratic incompetence?
Okay, but check the mutual aid, Julian. The Chicago Jewish Alliance launched Project Ahava, Project Love. They're trying to raise $132,000 because the government has basically entered its villain arc and walked away from the job. It's that no kings energy from the protests. People realizing they have to save each other because the federal safety net has been shredded.
Right. And it's not just New York. Washington State is trying to fix this with their new millionaires tax. And Time Trex is reporting that corporate interests are already in court trying to stop it. They would rather watch 86-year-old survivors lose their homes than pay an extra 2% on a capital gain. It's the vampire capitalism I've been talking about for months.
No cap. It's all connected to the immigration crackdown, too. If the federal government is going to be a bully, the states have to be the ones to lock the door.
Exactly. And I gotta say, the blue state resistance is finally taking its final form, and I am here for it. Colorado has made a move that is honestly a masterstroke of institutional leverage. As of 2 days ago, any lawyer in Colorado who wants to use the mandatory e-filing system, they have to certify under penalty of perjury that they will not give personal identifying info to federal immigration authorities for enforcement purposes.
Okay, wait, Julian, I love the energy, but this feels low-key cooked.
Cooked? Maya, it's brilliant. It's using the legal bar to build a firewall.
No, literally, think about it. Forcing lawyers to make an ideological pledge under penalty of perjury just to use the court's computer system, that is so fragile. It's inviting a massive ratio from the Supreme Court, Julian. You're basically asking the state bar to get canceled by a federal injunction.
Oh, spare me. It's about professional ethics. A lawyer's duty is to their client, not to acting as an unpaid informant for a rogue DHS. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is right to call it a victory over federal bullying. And we saw a federal judge dismiss a DOJ lawsuit against Colorado's sanctuary laws on March 31st. The legal foundation is there.
Julian, it's a house of cards. You're making the legal profession the target. If I'm a lawyer, I don't want my ability to file a brief to be tied to a political stand, even if it's a good one. It's giving main character syndrome at the state legislature level, and honestly, I think it's going to backfire when SCOTUS sees it as a violation of federal supremacy. It's a high-risk play for very little actual protection.
My thing is, if we don't take risks now, when do we take them? When they're already loading the buses? Look, Colorado is protecting their data. CRS 2474.102 is the hook, and I'm telling you, it's the most effective piece of sabotage I've seen in years. It's better than just rhetorical opposition. It's a procedural nightmare for ICE.
Okay, fine. It's a procedural headache. But let's see if it survives until June, because meanwhile, Illinois and Governor Pritzker are doing the work too, signed a bill to protect safe access to courts. He's not letting agents lurk in the hallways. But Julian, look at why they're being so aggressive. It's all in the new budget.
Oh, the guns over butter heist. This 92-page blueprint of pure, unadulterated militarism.
Right?
According to Morning Brew and PBS, it's $1.5 trillion for defense, a 44% increase. It's the largest military hike in U.S. history, surpassing even World War II levels of spending when you adjust for their Liberation Day tariffs caused.
Now, literally, they're building a dream military while the rest of us are living in a nightmare.
Look, they're calling it peace through strength, but they're gutting SNAP, gutting Medicaid, gutting everything that makes a country worth defending. They're putting $185 billion into this Golden Dome missile shield, which is just a blank check for defense contractors, Maya. I've been enthusiastic about accountability, but this is the opposite. This is a corporate raid on the Treasury.
Right.
And they've started calling the Department of Defense the Department of War again. It's symbolic. It's mask off. They are preparing for, well, the ongoing war with Iran, now in its second month, and they're using reconciliation to bypass any debate. They're basically turning the budget into a weapon of war.
And while they're building space shields, the kids on the ground are literally losing their lungs. Did you see the JAMA study on the Salton Sea?
I saw it. It's a horror show.
It's worse than a horror show. Inside Climate News and UC Riverside are reporting that children living near that shrinking sea show a measurable reduction in lung capacity growth, 52 milliliters a year. Julian, that's like living on top of a freeway.
Right.
The dust is full of endotoxins, agricultural runoff like arsenic and pesticides, and it's hitting the Latino and indigenous Puerto Petra communities the hardest. 24% of the kids in the northern Imperial Valley have asthma. That is 3 times the national average. And these America First policies are just letting it happen because they want the lithium from under the seabed.
Look, it's the America First flop era, as you would say. They prioritize resource extraction over human lungs, and then they freeze PEPFAR funds. That's the global HIV/AIDS program that has saved 25 million lives, and they've halted it for budgetary efficiency. It is moral bankruptcy, Maya. We're poisoning our own children and letting the world's most vulnerable die for what? 10% more for a naval buildup?
No cap. It's all to protect the inherited wealth of the people running the show. Speaking of which, did you see who is joining the House race in Wyoming?
Steve Freese, the boy wonder of the dark money era. I have his father, Foster Freese, in my black book from years ago. He was the kingmaker who kept Rick Santorum's 2012 campaign alive on a billionaire's whim.
Right?
And now Steve is running as a Trump Republican, backed by Turning Point USA, and he's running on, get this, election integrity. It's absurd a man whose family wealth is used to distort the democratic process is now the protector of the vote.
No, literally, he's positioning himself as a political outsider while living on a billionaire's legacy. It's the dynasty era of the GOP, but it gets darker, Julian. Zero Hedge is reporting that the DOJ, under our friend Todd Blanche, is making the investigation into Act Blue a top priority. They're going after the grassroots because they can't compete with small dollar energy.
Exactly. They want to criminalize the way the left raises money while people like Freese just write themselves a check for a congressional seat. It's the regulatory capture I've been warning about. And this is fueling the radicalization, Maya. Look at what happened in Miami Beach with Andrew Tate.
Okay, so Tate, Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, the whole alpha male influencer pack, they were filmed doing Nazi salutes and dancing to Kanye tracks. It's not just misogyny anymore. It's full-blown anti-Semitic radicalization.
Right.
Tate is telling his massive audience that the Matrix is a Jewish conspiracy, and 57% of Gen Z men now say society has gone too far in promoting gender equality. Julian, these guys are being groomed to see themselves as oppressed by everyone who isn't a white guy with an offshore bank account.
It's the destruction of the social fabric, Maya. It's iconoclasm. We're seeing it in Providence, where the mayor is removing murals because they don't reflect inclusive values. We are in a battle for the very meaning of our public squares. And while we're fighting for culture, the corporate predators are just cleaning out our pockets.
Live Nation, high-key the final boss of capitalism right now.
Oh, Live Nation. The antitrust trial in Manhattan is a circus. According to Consequence, the defense expert admitted under cross-examination that he was paid over $1 million by Live Nation to testify that their monopoly is competitive.
I would also say a monopoly is competitive for $1 million, Julian. No cap. It's giving corrupt expert energy.
It's a disgrace. But Letitia James and 33 other states, they've rejected the DOJ's surprise settlement. They said divesting 13 amphitheaters is like trying to fix a leak by painting the floor. They are pushing for a real breakup, and they're right to do it. We're also seeing the Safe Bet Act targeting predatory sports betting. FanDuel and DraftKings are the new tobacco companies, draining families dry with 24/7 gambling apps.
Right. It's all connected to the fraud czar thing. I mean, the corporate predators get $1 million pass, but if you're a blue state, Vance is coming for you.
Look, before we dive into the czar, we have to acknowledge how we even keep these servers running, Maya.
Right.
Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. He's not a media conglomerate. He's a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations.
No, literally. He's a builder.
He is. And if you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running. And honestly, it keeps us from having to take $1 million consulting fee from Live Nation.
No cap. But okay, Julian, let's talk about the actual villain arc of the week. President Trump has officially crowned JD Vance as the fraud czar.
My favorite Senator Vance family bragging right. It is absurd.
No, literally. It sounds like something from a Hunger Games spinoff. Trump signed this executive order on March 16th, and now Vance is leading the task force to eliminate fraud. And the headline is, according to Time and the Times of India, the targets are California, Illinois, Minnesota, Maine, and New York.
Right.
It's literally a hit list of blue states. Trump posted on Truth Social, Somalia beware, referring to Minnesota. He's claiming they'll find enough stolen money to balance the budget, which, let's be real, is pure gaslighting.
It is. He's using a $50 million hospice fraud case in L.A., which was an actual criminal case, as a pretext to launch a general audit of every Democratic state government. It's a protection racket, Maya. It's nice funding you have there. Shame if a czar found some fraud in it.
And the setup is what's really baked. The new Assistant Attorney General, Colin McDonald, he reports directly to Vance. He doesn't report to the DOJ leadership, Julian. It's a shadow enforcement wing that answers only to the vice president. It's a complete bypass of the separation of powers.
It's institutional vandalism. And while Vance is playing inquisitor, Trump is at the Supreme Court for Trump versus Barbara. He personally appeared, can you imagine, to pressure the justices to gut birthright citizenship. He's trying to dismantle the 14th Amendment while Justice Alito is having a health scare, and we have a Senate probe into Russian delegations meeting with U.S. officials in secret.
It's giving Fall of the Republic vibes, Julian. If they can just walk into the court and stare down the judges and then have Vance cut off funding to any state that resists, that's not a democracy. That's just a mob with a budget.
Look, it's a mafia state, but that's why Colorado's move, the one you think is fragile, is so vital. We have to force these institutional collisions. If the fraud Czar wants a war, we give him a war in the courtrooms, in the e-filing systems, in the streets. We saw the No Kings protests getting bigger. People are tired of the bullying.
Right. I just hope the procedural nightmare actually works before they just delete the lawyers entirely. It's a vibe shift, Julian. We're moving from elections to attrition.
It is, but we have the truth, Maya, and we have the momentum. Look, we're going to keep watching the fraud Czar, we're going to keep watching the Salton Sea, and we are going to keep shining a light into the dark money dynasty.
High key. We're the only ones who aren't shadow banned from the actual facts.
That's the goal. Look, that's our show for this Saturday. It's a busy, action-packed world, but we are the ones who define it, not them.
Stay safe, stay loud, and stay online because the ratio is coming for the administration eventually.
It's coming. I'm Julian Archer, and I'll see you at the gala or the barricade. Go out there and make some noise for democracy.